But we're going to begin with Manchester United chat. There's talk. It's only talk, although the club have come out and denied it since. But it's an interesting question to ask, actually, about... The question that we were going to ask was going to be about Harry Maguire and the captaincy, and supposedly Ronaldo was going to have a chat with him and Ralph was going to get involved, and Ronaldo wanted the captaincy. I mean, believe what you want when you pick up a paper. But either way, that is a conversation that we can have. I'm sure they've had in the dressing room. But I'll ask you, right? You've been captain at what clubs?
I was captain at Villa briefly in Charlton.
Okay. How important is it to have a captain nowadays? What's the job of a captain nowadays? When I was a kid growing up, it was always, when I watched the telly, it was always the leader. He was always the most vocal member of that. If a player had a problem and couldn't go and see the manager, he would see the captain, and that was the link between the team and so on. Is that still the case nowadays? I
think it's still the case. I don't think you have to be the most vocal to be the captain, but you're definitely still the link between the players and the manager or the hierarchy. You're that voice for them, because obviously a lot of the times if you've got an issue going on, it could be about anything, you'd have a meeting in the dressing room, the captain would stand up and say, right, boys, how do you want to do it? This is what we've been offered. It could be about anything, bonuses, whatever you want to talk about. And then we'll have a conversation. It would then go to the captain and he would take it upstairs. They'd have a conversation. And that was kind of and also as well, someone who led by example. Now, I've had captains that have been the best players that maybe not necessarily didn't lead by example, but then I've had captains that have led it by example. And again, I'll go to probably the obvious one when I think about captains, Matt Holland. Everything that he did was to lead by example. Like we had players in the team maybe that necessarily had a bit more ability than him, technically a bit better than him, but you always knew what you're going to get with him. Would always work hard, would lead by example, did everything correct. And even after, like what I remember he used to do was after every game at Ipswich, he'd run around the outside of the pitch and he'd clap the fans. Now that wasn't just when we were winning. There were times where we got pummeled at Portman Road, and he'd still find the time to run around and clap the people that had come out to support the team. But I think if you're being given the responsibility of a captain, you can't pick and choose when you want to be captain. I think if you're going to be that leader and that kind of example for the rest of the team and for the supporters as well, you have to be a captain 24/7.
Let me ask you about Harry Maguire then, okay? So when you're a captain, does it add responsibility? Does it add pressure to you when the game starts? So for argument's sake, Harry Maguire, probably by his own admission, isn't having the best season so far, right? I'm a big Maguire fan. I thought he was fantastic at the Euros. I know it's there. He's just got to find it. All players have a dip in form. I personally think he'll get it back, right? But if you took the captaincy away from him, would that allow him to relax a bit more and maybe give him more time to find his game again or not? Would that make a difference?
Well, the pressure would be off him, because when you're captain of Manchester United Football Club, I can only imagine what that intakes. When you look at the captains that football club's had, by the way, the likes of Roy Keane, Wayne Rooney, Robson, of course, everyone speaks about Robson. It must carry a little bit of weight to have that armband on at that football club. And when you're not playing well as well, so people are criticising you, your performances on the pitch, they're criticising your leadership, they're saying you're not the most vocal, because he doesn't look that vocal. It must be a lot for him to deal with. But of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, was the one who gave him the armband, believed that he was the right fit. But sometimes it is good to kind of take him out the firing line. Now, if he's one of your best defenders, you don't want to drop him, you don't want to take him out the firing line, obviously that will affect the team. Then you might just have a private conversation with him and just say, listen, I'm going to take the armband off you, just to kind of free up a little bit. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of questions, but the most important thing is that if that's what's going to happen, Ralph has that conversation with him first in private. Now, I can remember it happening to me when I lost the armband at Aston Villa. He'd already told the guy that was getting it before Paul Lambert had the conversation with me.
Who's that?
It was Ron Vlaar got the armband. Now, he'd already had the conversation with him.
So he knew he was going to take your captaincy before you'd had the conversation?
Right, before I'd even had the conversation.
Wow, how did you find out?
He told me.
Who?
Paul Lambert.
Right.
I'm pretty sure 45 minutes before kickoff.
Did you have the band on?
I'd have the band, no, because I'm not going to wait and warm up.
Oh, right,
I'm pretty sure it was about 45 minutes or an hour before the game, and that's when he told me that Ron was going to be the captain. And I think he used the excuse, which was, I need you to concentrate on just scoring goals, and I'm taking that responsibility. But that's fine. But my problem was that he told someone else before he told me.
How did you play that day?
I can't even remember how the game went. I can't even remember.
Okay.
But
which is unusual for a footballer to say that, because you guys usually remember everything.
Yeah, I remember if I score.
Oh, right,
I'm guessing
okay.
I probably didn't score,
Yeah.
which is why I don't remember. But for him, Harry Maguire, at a high-profile club like Manchester United, I think it is really important that he has that conversation with Harry Maguire first, if that's what he's even thinking.
Okay, just quickly as well, I want to take calls on. I know loads of people want to have their say on this. Just quickly, does it make a difference as to the position of that player? So for argument's sake, David De Gea, goalkeeper, right at the very back of the field. If you gave it to Ronaldo, striker right. I always thought, and again, I never played at your level, but it's either a defender, usually a centre-half, or a centre midfielder that should be a good captain.
Doesn't really bother me.
No.
Listen, Wayne Rooney was a good captain. He looked like, obviously, playing up front. You look at some of the great captains that are out there. And when I think of leadership right now and captains across the world, I think of the likes of someone. The first one that springs to mind is Sergio Ramos. He is what you call a proper captain.
Yeah.
Like, obviously at times doesn't toe the line, red cards and that, but as a leader, he's what you'd inspire to be to be a captain. But it's even Jordan Henderson on these shores, to be fair. I look at Henderson and I think,
What about
proper
then
captain.
Spurs? They've got Hugo Lloris the captain, which I think surprises a lot of people because you would think it would be Harry Kane, right?
Well, the only reason I think it would be Harry Kane because he's the England captain. So it just makes sense that he would be the Spurs captain. But obviously Lloris, I think Lloris is the French captain as well, so it makes a bit of sense. But then you look through the Spurs team and they've got some good players there. But I mean, the only one I could think of who would be playing every single week to be captain other than Kane would be Eric Dyer. He'd probably be the only one I think of. Other than that,